sorry, Lauren said, brushing strands of her long blonde hair back from her face. I didn't mean to scare you, but I'm so excited. Her voice rose to a squeal. Monica smiled with amusement. Lauren was bouncing on the balls of her feet, and her cheeks were tinted pink with excitement. What has you so worked up? Monica opened the oven door and slid in the sheets of scones. Sass-Menage Farm is going to be on What's Up West Michigan. You know, it's that local evening show that comes on before the news. I contacted them about featuring the farm, and I couldn't believe it when they replied. She paused to take a breath. I know it's terribly short notice, but one of their guests canceled, so they had an opening, and anyway, they called to set it up. Isn't that the show hosted by that young blonde woman, Betsy something or other? Lauren nodded. Yes, Betsy DeJong. I pitched the story to one of their producers, and he loved the idea. Like I said, it's short notice. They're coming this afternoon to film the harvest. This afternoon? Monica said in panic. Does Jeff know? Lauren nodded again. I just told him. He's quite excited. She frowned, but nervous too. He's afraid viewers will notice his arm. Jeff had been injured in Afghanistan and had returned to Michigan with a partially paralyzed arm. It was one of the reasons Monica had left Chicago to come and help him. Will Jeff even have to be in the segment? Lauren nodded excitedly. Yes, he'll be the one explaining to Betsy how the berries are cultivated and harvested. She frowned. I'd better make sure he doesn't wear that ratty old lion sweatshirt of his. Maybe I better run by him a new one. Good idea, Monica said, brushing some flour from the front of her apron. He'll want to look his best. Monica couldn't imagine Jeff on television. Her half-brother wasn't shy, but he was quiet and avoided the spotlight. You'll be in the segment, too, Lauren said. Monica gasped and whirled around. What, me? She looked down at her worn jeans and her stretched-out sweater, which was pilled around the elbows. She'd never been on television and had never any desire to be. They'll want you to give them a tour of the farm store and explain about all the cranberry goodies you make, especially your famous cranberry salsa. The whole segment should do wonders for business. Oh, dear. I'm hardly dressed for it. Lauren looked Monica up and down, taking in the clothes she had thrown on that morning without much thought as to how she looked. Don't worry, you'll do fine. But Monica could detect the note of doubt in her voice. It wasn't encouraging. Lauren had barely left in a flurry of excitement when the door opened again. Monica looked up as Kit Tantor walked in. She had hired him to help with the baking now that their orders had increased, and it was becoming too much for her to handle by herself. When she had first met Kit, he'd had his black hair shaved up the sides, but left long enough on top to flop onto his forehead. Since then, he'd grown it out and now wore it slicked back in a ponytail. To go with his new hairdo, he'd also cultivated a beard, a scruff that he somehow managed to keep at precisely the length of 3 days' worth of growth. I'm going to be on television, Monica said glumly after they'd greeted each other. Kit stood with both hands on his hips. Honey, I always knew you were meant to be a star. Monica laughed. Somehow Kit always managed to cheer her up. I don't know about being a star, Monica said, brushing some flour off the counter and into the palm of her hand. She explained about What's Up West Michigan coming to film the cranberry harvest that afternoon. Kit clapped his hands together. But, darling, that's marvelous. What incredible publicity for Sass-Menage Farm. Serious kudos to Lauren for arranging it, the clever girl. I guess all those marketing and PR courses she took in college paid off.